Good morning, everyone. Yes, the meeting is being recorded. Okay. So this is the second of the 5 Torah portions in the book of Exodus that tell the narrative of the building of the Mishkan. And Karen spoke about this last week also, because that was the first one, Terumah. And this just interesting kind of facts or takes on what's going on. This is the longest continuous narrative on one particular subject in the whole Torah. So, in the way Torah is interpreted or looked at as a wisdom book, a holy book, a scripture, the fact that so much attention is that it is centered over such a broad number of the scroll. Remember, this is like a scroll. Is significant, and that's one of the places we could play. So, what is it about this Mishkan? What is going on that is so central to the way Torah wants us to understand the journey of humanity, starting from the Garden of Eden and going through all the early families, and then the collective enslavement and freedom and crossing of the sea, and now all these details spent on building this structure, this magical structure that has the capacity to house, to be an indwelling place for the Shekhinah. That's a word from the Torah portion, which we understand to be a feminine emanation or form of divinity that must dwell in our hearts and in the center of our the very structure, the very inner core of human society, if we are to continue to evolve as a humanity. So if we look at Torah as the story of the relationship between human beings and the higher self, that if we look at Torah as something that is a journey of elevation of humanity, this Mishkan plays a central place. It is the place that actually brings us beyond time and space. So we're in, physically, the people are in the wilderness of Sinai still, again. And it is still to the people, even though we've had this incredible revelation there of something larger that speaks and includes all of us, we are still perceiving that we're in a wilderness. And this Mishkan has the capacity to, it's like a vehicle, a structure, a form. We could think of it as a spiritual practice, as a culture. It's could be anything that can house what gets us completely settled and connected where we are, wherever we are, so that we can feel at home in ourselves wherever we are. And it's like that settling down, just even saying it, I'm like, oh, yeah, yeah, I, oh, yes, I could build that Mishkan in my own heart, in myself. And we know how badly that's needed in our world now. For people to have this sense of settling, whether it's people literally running from war, being abandoned in the middle of war, whether it's us walking around New York City, feeling all of the energy, hearing, seeing things that might disturb us or things that give us incredible joy and pleasure. Like, we know we need this sense of groundedness and settling, and that is what this Mishkan can offer us. And this Parsha continues with instructions. Now, not only for building the Mishkan, and I wrote last week about it's incredible when you see all of the ingredients that this voice, this commanding Tetzaveh voice says to build it with, like, where does all this stuff come from? Jewels and dolphin skins. And, how does this people who've just crossed through a raging sea get access to all of these materials? Or Torah's like, you already have access to everything you need. You just have to be what? That's what we're going to explore. What is it that we have to be as individuals and as a collective humanity so that we really do already have access to everything we need to settle and ground ourselves, to feel settled and grounded. But this week, it's not only the ingredients for building this container, this mishkan within settling is actually, I think we could see that as one of the translations of Shekhinah, neighborhood within. But it's also instructions for the rituals. So it's not enough to just, so for humanity to advance, we need to find common projects, things that we do together that bring us together. And we need to keep the energy of that building alive continuously. And I'll get into the word continuous, tamid, in just a moment. So the instructions in this week have taken us from instructions and continue with instructions for building this housing for our own inner settling and for the settling within the collective society itself. It's also what is needed for the rituals. And just to place this in a little bit of possible timeline in Torah, although not necessarily, but on the level of how the scroll unfolds, all of this is happening following the revelation of the 10 vibrations on Mount Sinai. That very much featured in the languaging of Torah, the mysterious word for the God figure and Moses, right? And just take in for a moment that we're now a people who stood at Sinai, and they're still in a Sinai that's referred to as a wilderness, and they heard 10 words. They heard or received the vibrations of 10 words that carry the whole central dharma or Torah or law of human potential. And now it's roll up your sleeves and get to work. And this is such a great metaphor for all of us who consider ourselves on a spiritual path, that we go on retreat or we go to a religious or spiritual service or practice or have an amazing experience, and we want to stay there. Life is too hard and too distracting from what we experience in these moments. And Torah is saying, okay, now get to work. So do not take any of this to be a spiritual bypass. And there's so much at work that I see in this week's Parsha about how we are to not get carried away from the actual impact of how we live and the relationships and world we build when we have these incredible spiritual experiences, such as the key one in Judaism, which is what happened at Sinai, the revelation of these 10 vibrations that just completely guide the world. So the first thing that I noticed in this week's Parsha is that God and Moses, the God being the energy of the divine that is with us, eternal presence, let's call it, eternal presence and Moses are hidden. The only thing that we are intuiting from the letters and the words is their relationship, because all of the instructions, and it opens with you shall tetzaveh. Tetzaveh is the name of the parsha as it was given by the rabbis 1,000 years ago. And there's a you. So there's a relationship that's guiding everything that's happening. It doesn't say you Moses or you Yud He Vav He or I Moses, I Yud He Vav He. It's just you. And then you are in relationship. So you are in relationship to whoever or wherever or whatever is downloading these instructions to someone who we're guessing is Moses. And the way we guess it's Moses, or the way we know it's Moses, is because he is identified as being with your brother. So another relationship. So Torah is telling us in the beginning that building relationships with the people you find yourself in community with is key. And creating relationships where there isn't actually a hierarchy, because this whole Torah portion, and I think this is something also so notable after many portions where Moses is like the figure, in this Torah portion, he's just a messenger. And he's a messenger that now is going to literally kneel in front of his brother and his brother's sons. So they become the ritual keepers. That's pretty amazing. So this is a relationship of love between the you, who we see as Moses, and the present energy. So there's this like loving presence relationship. And then there's a relationship between Moses and his brother and his brother's children that is so full of humility. I mean, Moses kneels in front of them and dresses them and washes them and anoints them and looks over them, partners with them. But there's no hierarchy here anymore. So Torah is I think, really presenting almost this utopian vision of what is the human society that we are to build. Collective effort based on relationship, based on trust. And based on the understanding that it's all up to us, to people, to build, to vision and to build. So I think all of that is just truly instructions for us in our world today. And I think that, so then that, and all that's just in the first sentence of the Parsha. And actually there's two other things in the first sentence that I'm going to go into in a moment. But in what I've just been talking about, Torah is highlighting that it's when we live in relationship to divine energy, the you is how whoever is receiving instructions is being termed. So that's a relational word. That it's when we live in relationship to divine energy, in direct relationship to the level of reality that is beyond what we usually are imprisoned in, right? Which is how we see ourselves from our conditioned selves and our personalities. So these people, as we will continue to see through the end and continuing forever, never quite let go of seeing themselves as victims. So as long as from their understandable past, and yet It's only when we know how to come into direct relationship with a much broader, vaster, higher reality that, well, we're not only victims, right? We are also a people who knows how to build, who knows how to build relationships with others, and relationships where power is shared, as between Moses or you and his brother. That is when we'll be able to receive the knowledge that we need to live as free people. And something interesting that in Zohar, which is one of the core books of Jewish mysticism and one of the most influential books, right, of interpreting Torah, Zohar and many of the Hasidic sages who follow Zohar and receive teachings from it say that this you, like this is what you are to do, actually includes all the people and the Shekhinah, and the however divine energy comes down to live within us and what we need to instill within our own hearts is included in the you. So what is it that the you must do? We must do something that's called Tetzaveh. Again, that's the name of the Torah portion. And there's all kinds of interpretations of what this word means. And my favorite one is that with all of your deepest power, in other words, with the power within you that is so full of your passion and understanding of the world, that when you that your words inspire, your words elevate. So there's and you can email me later if you want to know which Hasidic teachings I've been looking at, but Tetzaveh is when we are hearing this is the map of humanity that Torah is suggesting we follow. The word is, and that you, all of you, right, must pass on and build relationships around. It's Tetzaveh is the word that's used, that's interpreted as you should command the people, but that's way too simplistic as far as I'm concerned, and many of the Torah teachers over the centuries have pointed out. It's more with your deepest knowing, from within your deepest connection to unification, to oneness, to the interdependence of all humanity, with the power of your deepest knowing, your deepest wisdom, you will inspire people to do this. So it's really a lesson. I think this portion is getting us to, we're being tested. Can we all be leaders? Can we live in a society where we're not just blindly following a leader? Wow, how's that for something for our time? Uh, so that's what Tetzaveh can mean. So the first line of the Parsha, Tetzaveh, meaning thinking of it as with everything you have, inspire people to do this, to do what will elevate them. The first one is to actually come into a right relationship with the natural world. So we are to take to find olive trees. So the first instruction for humanity is, right, to see what has been gifted to us in the natural world and find ways of protecting it and keeping it going, because we have to learn how to beat the olives so that we have this special olive oil to create the Ner Tamid, a vessel for this elevated consciousness. So this is kind of the first collective ritual that's way outside of just this little the Mishkan, or just the province of the priests. All the people are charged with finding olive trees and learning how to beat olives into oil that will burn continuously. And what this continuous fire, light, what is its purpose? It's to the whole process of doing this and creating this is to create an elevated consciousness. And how does that happen? When we all work together toward the same end. And when we do it with reverence and understanding that it all depends on us being in a right relationship to olive trees. Something else that we can learn from indigenous people, who've lived, it's not just olive trees. Olive trees stand for the entire natural world of trees. But, all over the planet, whether it's in Central America, where I just spent some time, or in Palestine, people see how to organize society to protect these trees that are the givers of life, and how the very act of protection is what creates this elevated consciousness where we understand that we are part of the interconnectedness of life. So the first Tetzaveh action, so powerful and commanding that it transmits the energy of ascension into connection, because Tetzaveh also carries very much a meaning of creating connection, is to find olive trees and make olive oil and light this Ner Tamid. And just another word about the Ner Tamid, about the word Tetzaveh that I think is noteworthy, is it's from the same root related to the word mitzvah, right? So what are these? This is one of the first mitzvot, to be in right relationship with the olive trees, to understand that the world of trees is and protecting trees and savoring and even well, not worshiping, but treating with reverence the power of what is hidden inside trees. That this is actually one of the first mitzvot, one of the first acts to bring us closer to higher and higher consciousness. So the next ingredient in this process of us creating a real human world, well, not creating a human world, but of building a human society and relationships that have this Shekhinah at its core, is what is the quality of heart that we need to bring into all of our actions. So last week's Torah portion focused on the quality of the willing heart, the giving heart, the heart of compassion. So the terumah, which were the ingredients to build the Mishkan, all had to come from everyone, from willing hearts. And I think of this as the heart of compassion. So it's that the heart of compassion is the source for everything that's being built. And in this week's Torah portion, what is added is the heart of wisdom. the people must access wisdom. And Torah says wisdom is among us. Just look around. It's not out there, it's among us. And everyone, a beautiful act of collective elevation for a people is when everyone can recognize who are the wise ones among us and let us bring them forward. And that is exactly what Torah says now has to happen to continue this building for our centers. And this is all happening when, as I said earlier, the people are without leaders. There's no mention of Moses or divine energy, right? Torah is saying, you people, you can look around and find who are the carriers of wisdom among you, and that the collective ability to do that is bringing us to the next level of freedom. And now, once we have identified the wisdom hearts, now we need to marry, or through this process, we're marrying the giving, compassionate hearts with the wisdom hearts. And I started to see, oh, wow, marrying wisdom and compassion, which for students of Buddhism, these are actually the two elements that marry in order to give rise to awakening. And so here it is in Torah, marrying the compassionate heart and the wisdom heart. And then I was also thinking of that famous quote by Dr. Martin Luther King, who, of course, was an incredible Torah scholar, where he said, power without love is reckless and abusive, and love without power is sentimental and anemic. Power at its best is love implementing the demands of justice, and I would say, or wisdom of how we need to be together. And justice at its best is power correcting everything that stands against love. So here is this great prophet of our time, speaking the prophetic words, really drawing from the prophetic words of, I'm just imagining of this Torah portion, that this marrying of compassion and wisdom is the way to correct everything that stands against love, against compassion. And the word that the Torah portion this week uses to introduce this heart of wisdom is chokhmah. And this capacity to be, perhaps for Moses to be so humble in his role now, is coming from this marrying of the willing heart, the compassionate heart, compassion, and wisdom. And I'll just finish today by saying how much I believe I'm yearning for spiritual leaders and teachers today, especially in our three Abrahamic religions, who can lead us into this you relationship. We could think of Buber's I, thou relationship, right? Between divine energy, which is the oneness at our heart, what we cry out for understanding when we say the Shema, and this quality of reverential relationship between and among the three religions, so that we see each other all as part of this grand endeavor to build a refuge, to protect all life, to protect our people's connection to their divine. That this is something we all want to do, not compete with each other or want to, God forbid, get rid of each other, because we see our relationship as better or more worthy or more chosen. So I'm just really, as we go into this next shift in Jewish time of Purim and then Passover, that we are led by leaders who are inspired to find this reverential relationship between us and everyone else, to put back in our midst, because I think we've lost a lot of it. So thank you all so much.